Hello everyone and welcome. This video is for exercise 5A, the first one in our chapter 5. And as always, you want to make sure you read over and review the entire chapter, and not just the activities, but also the extra information, because there's always a lot of great information there. For this particular chapter, we're going to be looking at the concept of workflows and ways to make your workflow or what you're doing to the data, your set of tasks or steps, easier. And again, if you read over the first part of the chapter, it will go into some of the specific tools and features that we're going to use, and it gives you the scenario, for this particular set of exercises, which is we're employed by a nonprofit agency whose primary objective is to raise awareness of and develop solutions for international human rights violations. And they are using public information offered by the Armed Conflict Location and Event Data Project. And that's where that ACLED that you'll see throughout this exercise comes from. And again, the textbook steps through a little bit more of where the data came from and what it's about, as well as looking at what types of workflows might exist. Okay, so the first thing you're going to want to do is open up the conflict GDB from the conflict folder. And the way we're going to do that here is you're going to open up the conflict APRX file, and it should be again in that conflict folder. Okay, so we're going to go and open that up. And once we have that open, when you expand the conflict folder, you're going to see that there are some geodatabases, some toolboxes, and some other files in there. You're going to want to expand this conflict geodatabase so that we can see this particular data set. Okay. So I have the conflict here open. Come over to my folders. I expand the conflict, and then I expand the conflict GDB. Here's that data that we want to add to our map. Remember, we drag it over. And again, it came up with this particular colored dots. Remember, the dots will always come up in different colors. You can right-click on the layer you've just added, and then left-click on Attribute Table, and take a look at the table and get a feel. For instance, you can see specific event types and all sorts of other information. And again, it's always good practice to open up the attribute table for any data that you add to a map, just to get a better feel. Okay, so now we're going to try to set up a couple of tasks. The first thing we're going to do here from the View tab is we're going to click the Tasks button, and that should bring up our task pane. And the first thing we're going to do here is create a subset of features. And click on the little arrow to open a task. Again, you'll want to go over what are the different things here. We're doing a query. Remember, a query is asking a question, and it's usually asking a question about a certain subset of data. So here, you'll notice it will set up for us a very set of instructions. It will limit the visible features to those within a particular country from 2010 to 2018. And we will define a new country at each iteration, each step. And we'll use this add clause. All right, so again, you want to always review things, and then we're going to use the run to perform what we're doing above, and then go on to the next step. So what you want to do again is read things over so that you get a feel for what's going to go on, and then we're going to click run. Okay, so now we have up our query builder, and we're going to follow the step instructions in the task panes to build the query expression. Hint, you may need to click more in the values box to see Sudan. Okay. So what you're going to want to do is we're going to set this up, and we're going to follow the instructions in the task pane. Okay, so again, over here to the left, it says click Add Definition Query. Okay, and use the drop-down menus to build expressions. So we're going to add this, and then we're going to country should be equal to South Sudan. So we're going to select a field. I'm going to find country. It's kind of hard to see, but is equal to, right? And we need to find South Sudan. There you go. Okay. Click Add. Okay. Now we're going to build an expression with the year greater than or equal to 2010. Okay. So, and year. Now we want is greater than or equal to, and notice we want 2010. Okay. Now again, it's saying here, click Add. If it doesn't show Add on yours, you're fine. Okay. We can click Apply if you want, and then you can click OK to close. All right. So again, we're going to have fewer features once this is finished. Okay, and once you've done that, you should see only these particular points. And following this along, we are now going to click on the next part, and we're going to, I'm sorry, I went up too high there. And we're going to click next step to rename layer. And it says click run to open the layer properties and follow the steps so that it will kind of look like this. So then we can click on OK and next step. On the general tab, change your layer name. So we're just going to add a little and then we're going to leave everything else alone. And we're going to click OK. All right. And then we're going to click on run and next step. Oops, sorry. And next step. And you notice it's kind of bringing us in now to where we are. So now we're here and we can click finish to complete the task. Okay, sorry about that, going back and forth sometimes. So on the next task, we're going to do the symbolize the layer. And you notice there's only one step here, and we're going to follow the instructions here. Okay, so we need to graduate symbols. Based on the fatalities field. And we have 3 classes. Change the default symbol, click the symbol template and choose a new symbol and modify its properties as desired. Okay, so again, if you wanted to do that, you could change these symbols. That's up to you. And then when you're done, you can exit or close the symbology. And then we will finish that. Okay, so again, we completed that. Went through. Again, this goes through what we just did. And then the last one is we're going to open up the make selection task. And this task also only has one step. The select layer by attribute tool is embedded. So we want to select features with an event type of violence against civilians. Okay, and again, notice the hint here to point to the expression to see it in its entirety. Okay, so I go back. I'm in the make selection, and notice with mine, I can't do a run, and it's got this odd input rows. Okay, if you go back and take a look, you'll see here for input rows, it's got that South Sudan layer. But that didn't automatically pull up. But I can click on this drop down menu and choose that. Now you're going to see we've got it looking more like here. So again, sometimes things aren't explicitly said in the textbook, and sometimes you got to kind of make sure everything is pulling up. So now we want to make sure that we set the event type is equal to violence against. And again, where did that violence against come from? That was already in the database. So now we've got that set up. It looks like everything else here is good. So then we're going to go ahead and, excuse me, run. Okay. So again, now I have my second set. And we can go ahead and finish. And we can close this up. So now we have this, and again, as mentioned, it shows the conflicts between 2010 and 2018, and we use that graduated symbols, which means instead of just putting a point for each one, the bigger the number, the bigger the circle. That's what a graduated symbol means. So up to this point, most of the symbols, we haven't given any attribute to the size of the symbol other than just picking it in general. But with graduated symbols, it allows you to represent a number by size. And in fact, in many of your homeworks and projects, you might want to think about using graduated symbols because it really does give you that really neat effect. Okay. And then within those red, you're going to see, because of what we did, let me go back here. The ones that are in this highlight blue, those are the ones that met that very specific violence against civilians. So all of these dots are South Sudan, the ones that are highlighted blue because of that last step we did in the tasks are the ones that match our selection. Okay, now that was all set up with those tasks preset. Now we're going to create a brand new task item. Okay, so we'll kind of get this started. I'm going to be going back and forth, and there's a lot of other windows that are going to be open. So hopefully this won't get too confusing, but I will do my best. So we're going to open back up our tasks. Okay, and we're here again in the create conflict maps, and then we're going to click edit in designer. Okay, so now we've got our task pane over here and our task designer pane over here in my window on the right hand side. Okay, so we should see some new buttons and tabs over here, these. Okay. All right, so what we're going to do first is in the task pane, we're going to click this new task button, and a new task should now be visible. The task designer should then update so that you know one is working with the other. Okay. And we're going to name the new task, generate summary statistics. So again, let's go. I'm going to click on the new task button. Okay. So we've got a new task. Name it that generate summary statistics. And you want to type in summarize the fatalities for and we're going to have one step. And so we need to record our actions. So in the task pane, you're going to click the record commands button, and then your ArcGIS Pro interactions will be recorded and will be translated into that step by step. Okay, and then here are the steps that you're going to do. Okay, you're going to do analysis, click the summary statistics tool, and then you're not going to fill it out. You're just going to close the geoprocessing pane and then click the stop recording button. So then you should see from there, you should be able to type in your steps. Okay. And then in the task designer, on the one on the right, you're going to click the actions tab, point to summary statistics, and click the edit tool. And then you're going to need to set these as well. Okay, so again here I have this set up. And we've got the manual. So that's good. Now you're going to click on actions. Point to summary statistics, click the edit tool, and select the parameters as follows. So now we can click done. Okay. Close the task designer, and let's actually run it and then click finish and see how it looks. You should then be able to see that a new table has been added to the map. So once you go back, close it, and then I ran it, and now I have this new table. Not a lot here, but we got our data. Okay. Now you're going to go ahead, save your project. Oops, sorry. Save your project and then make sure to either share the, let me just save it real quick here first. So we'll save it. And then again, remember you can share the project and you can package, save the package as a file, make sure you save it, you can leave it as the conflict package. You can put your name in front of it. That's up to you. Want to include everything. I'll analyze it just to make sure. And then package. And then once you have that done, send me that file. Because if you just send me the APRX or the GDB, I don't have all of the different data files. If when you're doing this, you ever do receive an error, again, to save it, you can, in this case, you could package as a map. However, if I can't see everything, then the next thing you would do is you would go to your GTK Pro folder. You would, not from ArcGIS, you would do this from your Windows Explorer. You would go here, you would save a zipped version of this conflict and send me the zipped version of your conflict. That way I can see all of it. But this one packaged okay, so you should have no problem. All right, that should be it. Take care.